High in the mountains, where snow touched the clouds and silence was sacred, there lived a young monk named Tenzin. He had dedicated his entire life to finding inner peace through absolute silence and discipline. While other monks laughed, talked, and enjoyed simple pleasures, Tenzin remained yavuz, serious, controlled, never smiling. He believed that joy was a distraction from enlightenment, that laughter was weakness, that peace could only be found through suffering and sacrifice. But the mountain had a different lesson to teach him. Every morning before sunrise, Tenzin would wake and begin his rigorous practice. While others slept, he meditated in the freezing cold. While others ate warm meals, he fasted. While others rested, he trained his body and mind without mercy. His master, an old monk named Lobsang, watched with concern. "Tenzin," the old man would say gently, "why do you punish yourself so severely?" "Master," Tenzin would reply, bowing deeply, "suffering is the path to wisdom. Joy is the enemy of discipline. I will achieve enlightenment through absolute control." Master Lobsang would only smile sadly and say nothing more. One day, Tenzin decided to climb to the highest peak of the mountain to meditate in complete isolation. There, he thought, in total silence and solitude, away from all distractions, I will finally find peace. He packed minimal supplies, just enough to survive, and began his journey up the mountain alone. The climb was brutal. Tenzin's feet bled, his hands froze, his body screamed for rest, but he pushed on, welcoming the pain as a teacher, embracing the suffering as a path. After 3 days of climbing, he reached the summit, a small, flat area surrounded by nothing but ice, wind, and emptiness. Perfect, he thought. No distractions, no temptations, only me and my discipline. He sat down to meditate, his back straight, his face expressionless, his mind focused on achieving absolute stillness. Days passed, then weeks. Tenzin sat in meditation, barely moving, barely eating, pushing himself to the absolute limit of human endurance. But something strange happened. The more he tried to find peace, the more agitated he became. The more he tried to silence his mind, the louder his thoughts screamed. The harder he pushed, the further away enlightenment seemed. He was suffering perfectly, disciplining perfectly, controlling perfectly. But he felt nothing. No peace, no joy, no enlightenment. Just emptiness. Cold, hollow emptiness. One morning, exhausted and broken, Tenzin opened his eyes. His meditation had failed again. He had been on this mountain for a month, and he felt further from peace than ever. Then he heard it, a sound he hadn't noticed before, hidden beneath the wind. Water, flowing water. Confused, Tenzin stood on shaking legs and followed the sound. How could there be water up here, in the frozen peak? He walked carefully across the ice until he found it, a small stream of water, impossibly flowing despite the freezing temperature. It bubbled and danced over rocks, creating a sound that was almost like laughter. Tenzin stared at the water, mesmerized. It flowed effortlessly, joyfully, without struggle or effort. It didn't fight the rocks, it danced around them. It didn't resist the cold, it sang through it. It moved with perfect freedom, perfect ease, and it was laughing. The river was laughing. For the first time in years, something cracked inside Tenzin's chest, a feeling he had forbidden himself to feel. Curiosity, wonder, and something else, something dangerous. Joy. Tenzin sat by the river, breaking all his rules. He wasn't meditating, he wasn't practicing, he was just watching, listening. "How can you laugh?" he whispered to the water, feeling foolish for talking to a river. "How can you be so joyful when you're surrounded by ice and stone? Don't you know that suffering is the path, that discipline is everything?" The river didn't answer in words, but Tenzin understood its message clearly. The river was joyful because it didn't resist. It flowed with life, not against it. It embraced every obstacle as part of its dance, not as an enemy to defeat. It was soft, yet it could carve through the hardest stone. It was gentle, yet unstoppable. It had achieved what Tenzin had been fighting for, perfect peace through perfect acceptance, not perfect control. Tenzin looked at his reflection in the water and barely recognized himself. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow, his spirit depleted.
He had been so busy trying to control life that he had forgotten to live it. The river showed him something else. His reflection rippled and danced, never staying still, always changing, always flowing. That was life. Movement, change, flow. Not rigid stillness, not frozen perfection, but dancing, laughing, living flow. Something broke inside Tenzin. Years of rigid control, years of denying himself joy, years of believing suffering was the only path. All of it crumbled like ice in the spring thaw. And for the first time since he was a child, Tenzin laughed. It started as a small chuckle, strange and rusty from years of silence. Then it grew. He laughed at himself, at his foolishness, at his years of missing the point entirely. He laughed at how seriously he had taken everything, how much pain he had caused himself in the name of peace. He laughed until tears ran down his face, until his stomach hurt, until he couldn't breathe. And in that laughter, he found what he had been searching for all along: peace, real peace. Not the forced, controlled, rigid peace of discipline, but the natural, effortless, joyful peace of acceptance. The river laughed with him, its waters dancing in the morning light. When Tenzin returned to the monastery weeks later, Master Lobsang couldn't believe his eyes. The serious, rigid young monk had transformed. There was light in his eyes, a smile on his face, a lightness in his step. "Master," Tenzin said, bowing, but with joy in his voice, "I climbed the mountain seeking enlightenment through suffering." "And did you find it?" Master Lobsang asked, already knowing the answer. "No, Master. I found suffering, only suffering. But then I found a river, and the river taught me what you tried to tell me all along." "What did it teach you?" the old master asked with a knowing smile. "That peace is not about control, it's about flow. Enlightenment is not about killing joy, it's about embracing it. The river flows effortlessly, laughs freely, and yet it carves through mountains. It's soft, yet unstoppable, gentle, yet powerful. It doesn't fight life, it dances with it." Master Lobsang's eyes filled with tears of happiness. "And now, my student, you are truly ready to learn. Remember this, you were not meant to suffer your way to peace, you were meant to laugh your way there. The river doesn't struggle upstream, it flows naturally, joyfully, with the current of life. It encounters rocks and obstacles, yes, but it doesn't fight them. It dances around them, embraces them, even carves beauty from them. You've been trying so hard to control everything, your emotions, your life, your future. You've been so serious, so rigid, afraid to let go. But peace doesn't come from control. It comes from acceptance, from flow, from trusting the current of life instead of fighting it. Stop treating joy like it's your enemy. Stop punishing yourself in the name of discipline. Stop believing that suffering is the only path to wisdom. The river is soft, yet it carves through stone. Be like the river. Laugh, flow, dance, trust. Your peace is not waiting at the end of some painful journey. It's here, now, in every moment you choose to flow instead of fight, to laugh instead of suffer, to dance instead of resist. The mountain doesn't move for the river. The river flows around it, laughing all the way. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.